All right.
Here we
Welcome back to another episode of the Merge Feast. I'm Blake, and joined with me is Logan and Brandon. What's up, guys?
What is up?
Hello. I'm here.
Let's get into this week's episode. And I feel like we all want to probably start in the same spot. And I think Brandon, you said it best before we went live on this, that tribal was the most exciting part of the episode. So that's probably where we should start. And I just have a feeling that, Brandon, you've got some strong opinions on tribal. So I'm actually going to start with Logan. Let's start low and then work our way up.
Okay, I don't know what you mean.
Not in quality, sorry.
I don't know what you mean by that.
First.
It was fine. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was an okay tribal. It wasn't a historic tribal, and we can kind of dive into it. I don't have everything laid out on kind of what happened there and all, but kind of really came down to multiple votes. One person didn't have their vote. The pizza guy, is it Justin?
It is Justin, the pizza man.
Justin didn't have his vote, and so with only having 4 people, it definitely kind of changed some things, and the other 3 didn't realize that he didn't have his vote. So definitely an interesting tribal, and excited to dive in deeper to the kind of very ending of that and all. But hear what you guys have to think, or what you think about it.
So I think that tribal was the best part of this episode. You had 4 players. Vula went to tribal. And initially 3 players had their vote. Justin didn't, and because he lost a game of chance at a journey, which we can talk about that more later. And Mary played Shot in the Dark successfully, which I'm pretty sure that's only the 3rd time in the new era, or since it's been implemented, that somebody's played it successfully. Which meant that when you play your Shot in the Dark, you don't get a vote either. So 2 votes. And Cedric and Say were the only 2. We had a split vote with 1 on Justin, 1 on Say. Cedric voted Say. Obviously, Say voted Justin, which forced a revote. Revote was a tie again. Justin and Say, so nothing changed, which means we're deadlocked. And usually there's more people that can kind of have a say and have to discuss it. And if they can't come to a decision, then they go to rocks. Well, Cedric is obviously the only person that has a say because Mary didn't vote. Justin and Say are on the block, so they can't make a decision. So Cedric is the decider. And again, remember, Cedric voted Justin twice.
No.
This is where it falls off the rails for me.
Cedric voted Say twice.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Cedric voted Say twice. Did I say that wrong every time?
No, just this last time.
Okay. Cedric voted Say twice. And Justin and Say are both making their arguments. Say's making a compelling argument. Hey, I've told you the truth the whole time. Like, great pitch. And Justin's like, hey, there's going to be pizza back in Boston if you come visit me later. Like, okay. Like, what kind of argument is that? Like, that was almost as bad as the lie you told after the journey. But anyway, Cedric is like, all right, I'll keep Say on one condition, that you and Mary squash your beef. So he keeps Say after this whole rigmarole of voting Say twice. So, it made for a historic, exciting tribal, but kind of ended flat for me because he just flipped his vote anyway. But what are your thoughts, Blake?
Yeah, I'm with you there. The way he voted didn't really make sense to me. and I feel like, and obviously he wasn't prepared for it to go that direction to where he had to make the sole vote and then kind of explain why and hear a pitch from two people. Like that kind of puts you in a tough position that you're not quite prepared for. But in my head as a viewer, thinking, okay, we're down three people already. They're going to have to switch up tribes soon. So I may not even be with these people any longer. You know, am I willing to look past Justin's little lie versus say who I don't trust at all? Like I don't know. And to vote for her twice and that all get like you as a player there, you very easily saw who voted for who. And so to see that and then think like, okay, is Say really going to trust me after I just voted for her twice and then decided to save her? Probably not. Say's not going to forget that. Just none of it quite made sense. But I thought the way Mary played up until Tribal, I thought was really smart. I was not expecting it to work that way, but with as chaotic as Say is, that I mean, it definitely worked in her favor for sure. And then obviously playing the shot in the dark sealed it, but created enough confusion there where it didn't really seem like a solid plan got put into place.
Hmm. Yeah, I didn't expect her to play a shot in the dark. I thought she was just going to kind of accept it, but yeah, kind of going back to how she was post challenge, where she was just, in her words and Say's words, like cool as a cucumber, just did enough um, to kind of cast a little doubt around camp. Um, but yeah,
And
that. Go ahead.
it makes more sense now. Like you said, whenever I was watching it, I wasn't thinking that she was going to play her shot in the dark. But her, if she was planning on doing that, taking that approach of sitting back and not looking for the idol. But I was the same way, kind of questioning of like why, like I'm just not going to do anything. But um, it worked for her. Third time.
So Brandon, you said that Tribal was the best part, and it was obviously probably the most exciting part, but you made it sound like you didn't really enjoy the rest of the episode. So am I wrong in that?
No, you're not wrong. So there were like tribal was the best part. I thought the Mary Say segment in the jungle was pretty cool. And them kind of having that, like, acknowledging the mutual respect that they have for each other. But this episode has been kind of an ongoing frustration for me as far as the result of the challenge, where here we are again, another just disaster of a tribe that doesn't seem like it's going to fix itself anytime soon, and followed by a journey that players were forced to play, and you know you a game of chance, and if you win you get an extra vote, if you lose you risk your vote. And one, it's chance, so like you have really no control over what happens. Two, you didn't have a choice to play, and again you have Justin that just wasn't good at rolling a dice that time, that lost his vote at a very critical moment, and now he's not in the game. If he had a vote or maybe an extra vote, I would just almost guarantee you he's still here. So
Sorry to derail you, but right there, when was the last time people had an option not to play in the journey? Because I feel like the last several, you haven't had the option. So
uh
has this season, have they given them an option yet?
I don't I think they've always had to play, but you at least have like some sort of control, where do this challenge, do this puzzle, whatever. Like, this is like roll these dice and hope that you get 4 fire before you get 4 skulls. Like,
Gotcha.
that's like, come on. That's just, again, at a critical moment, like, Justin is just has to sit on his hands at tribal because he lost his vote. But going back to the challenge, Vula loses again. And I was looking at I went on the Survivor Wiki. I'm like, all right, I got to look at the new era pre-merge and kind of see how these results shake out, because I'm like, I feel like pretty much all but like 2 seasons have been like just landslide. And I was actually a little surprised when I looked back. It's kind of 50-50 of kind of even pre-merge and just one tribe being absolutely dominant or being absolutely just terrible. So I was surprised by that, but 50% of the new era seasons pre-merge has, been a little bit lackluster. And I just think that it might be time to do something different pre-merge. And I think possibly going back to 2 tribes could be beneficial. Obviously, you can have one tribe be dominant in a 2 tribe format as well, but I think the odds are lower of that happening. I don't have anything to back that up, but it's just, for me at least, not a great viewing experience when it's just, okay, this tribe stinks and they keep going to tribal, and the episodes kind of get predictable. Halfway through the episode, you're kind of like, all right, I've kind of lost interest because this tribe lost again. So, and obviously, like, it is what it is because it's just, that's how the game goes. But I just think it might be time to consider a different format for pre-merge.
When is so looking forward to next week's episode, they're obviously swapping tribes and shuffling things up. Does this, from what I remember, this is like maybe a week earlier than they've done it before, at least recently when they've done the tribe swap? Because one was it 2 seasons ago that was it Yellow that just got swept, and I feel like they got down to 2 people.
So they did the tribe swap on the 4th episode of season 45.
Okay.
Which is the same for next week.
And then what about Q's season?
Let me see. Q's season, there's not a tribe swap.
Okay.
But
That's what I was thinking, because they got down to like two or 3 people, right?
Yeah. They had, they went into, so that was, they lost 4 straight, but they got lucky because Randon had to be medically evacuated, so they avoided tribal council. So they would have gone into the merge with 2, but because of Randon's evacuation,
That's right.
yeah, they kind of
That
caught
is
a break.
right.
That's right. Okay, so it's not necessarily any earlier. I am glad that they're swapping up tribes, because this obviously can't continue. I'm with you on a lot of those points, and I don't necessarily disagree. However, the people who I like the most in the game are on the 2 tribes that are winning. And I don't know if that's because this tribe is losing, but there's not really been any standout player that I've thought, oh yeah, I would really love to see them go all the way. And I do have that feeling about people on both of the other tribes. And so that's, for me this week, while it's like, man, I hate to see the same tribe continue to lose and lose and lose, I also am okay with it because I'm just not as big of a fan of these people on this tribe. But this, I feel like the third episode of the season is always kind of where you start to see the chips fall, from, okay, is the strong tribe legit, or had they just gotten lucky twice? And then you start to see like the alliances between everybody, because the first 2 weeks everybody just kind of scrambling and trying to find their place. And I feel like this, you really start to see like, I'm forgetting the tribe's name, Logi, the purple tribe. You really start to see like where everybody is landing on both sides and kind of how it's going to shake up. um like, I don't know, and I don't know that a lot of that would have developed as much as it has if they would have gone to tribal last week. So I think there is some benefit there. um and I also wonder too if last season spoiled us a little bit because it was so good pre-merge.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was a completely different picture, but I don't I don't think I expect that every season. But the fact that we've had 4 out of how many, or half of the seasons where one tribe hasn't been able to do anything, and the other tribes are like just sitting around waiting until merge. I just feel like half of them, I'm kind of in the same boat as Brandon is, of there's got to be some sort of change, because I think for viewership, for just enjoyment, for I think there
I
needs to be a
mean,
change there.
even for the players, I know if you're on the tribes that keep winning, you're probably like, well, that sucks for them. But it's just like,
Yeah.
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
I do
So
think that there's like the nice thing this season versus prior seasons. I think season 46 sticks out to me, where I can't remember the orange tribe, but they just dominated and like almost didn't even talk strategy pre-merge. Like at least you kind of, like you said, you kind of know what Logi's thinking and kind of had the dynamics there, and Siva as well. A little bit more laid back, toned down version of it, but you at least see them like, if we had to, this is what we would do. So
if you are, let's do a thought experiment here. So if you're production and you're hearing this, and you're probably thinking too, hey, we want things to, you know, be more, maybe not fair, but a little more even, maybe more random. If one tribe or two tribes are just running away with these physical and mental challenges, I think an easy direction to go would be to throw out these things of chance, which in my head makes sense on like, hey, let's throw out this chance, and it's essentially 50-50 on like rolling the dice. You could win, you could lose, and this may be a way to kind of shake it up. And um somebody loses a vote that, whatever. um but I feel like in practice it never ends up that way. It's always the people on the bottom tend to not get the advantage. At least that's how it feels, especially after this episode. So I was definitely like, okay, I like the opportunity that it's chance and not just a physical thing, because it shakes it up a little bit. But it didn't work out that way.
I don't necessarily mind the chance. I think, but I think you should have a choice, because if you're like, Justin didn't ask to go on the journey, he was chosen. So that to me, like, that's already like your team's going to try, your tribe's going to tribal, and now I have to spend the afternoon away from them, which is never good. And then oh, now I have to play that. I have to play this game. That it would be in my best interest to probably not play it at this point in time in the game. Like, give them a choice. I'm fine with the chance aspect of it, but give them a choice.
So a choice of playing, a choice of going
Play,
on.
play or don't play. If you go to the journey, you go to the journey. But play, don't play. You should be able to get to the journey and understand what's at stake, and then reflect and evaluate and go, you know what? We have a pretty critical vote tonight. I think, the benefits of winning are great, but the risk of losing is greater. So I, I need to forego this and just come back empty handed and explain that. Like that's like, I just, I've talked about it in prior seasons. Taking your voice is your vote, right? Taking your voice out of the player's hands without their, without their kind of input, like you were told, like, this is what you're doing. And I just think Justin went home tonight. Not that I thought that Justin was going to go on this run, but I think Justin went home tonight because he couldn't vote.
Yeah.
And that sucks.
Yeah. No, and I think that's a good point. I would even honestly be more okay with it if I said, okay, somebody from each tribe is going on the journey. You guys decide amongst yourselves. But as soon as they gave the winning tribe the power to pick who went on each one, then it's like, okay, because Justin may not have wanted to go at all and somebody else totally volunteer. And at that point, the risk versus reward. And so if you're volunteering, you are accepting that. So I'm like, I would even be more okay with it at that point. But that is a lot of power to give that winning tribe, because you got the best reward, and now you get to pick who goes on the journey. And they, without knowing it, sent Justin home.
Mm-hmm.
And then also too, are they not talking, the three of them that go on the journey?
They didn't last time, and
Yeah.
that's
It didn't
I said
seem
something
like
about that. They walked up and went their separate ways.
Yeah.
so. It seems like part of the benefit of the journey before is, hey, now I got some time with people from the other tribe. Let me gather information or build a connection so when the merge happens, I know somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't done that at all. And I don't know
Yeah.
if they're just not showing us that,
Po-
because then it's like, what's the point of letting Loggy pick who goes on the journey if you're not even going to discuss it? Then it's just like
yeah.
totally random. Doesn't make
Part
sense.
part of me wonders if they are having a conversation on the beach, the three journey goers, but it just doesn't end up being relevant later on down the road. So that, to me, it might just be an editing decision of, well, they had this conversation, but none of these people are even here or even going to be there, or they're just, their conversation, just what they talked about never came to fruition. That's just, because I feel like I find it hard to believe that they were like, landed on the beach and were just like, well, see you on the other side, and
Yeah.
just didn't have a conversation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's hard for me to believe that they would walk up there, not say anything to each other, read the note of what you're supposed to do, and say, "All right, see you later," and not have any other sort of conversation. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you're there to do. I mean, not necessarily there for that, but they're on Survivor to strategize and play the game. So if somebody's there, they're playing the game.
We've talked about it a little bit, but I'm curious, where we talked about how we kind of saw the different dynamics of Loggy, and I was curious what you guys think of how that's all going down, with pretty much Star being in the middle of everything.
Well, based off of tonight, I think the power could potentially be shifting to, because it kind of felt like Joe Shaheen and Eva were kind of like, okay, they're in charge here. But Thomas, Star, and Bianca, based off of some of their conversations, I'm like, kind of want to look out for them. I like the Joe and Eva duo. I talked about that in the premiere, and I want to see them go far. But the Thomas, Bianca, Star possibility is actually kind of exciting to me. I would actually love to see where that goes, even if it does mean that Eva goes out next week or whenever they get an opportunity, just because I think uh I do think that Thomas is going to make a pretty good run in this game, and they're kind of playing it up like Stars, like, she'll be first one out, but I'm just not buying it. So I think it's kind of shifting, and I'm excited for it.
I definitely think it's shifting as well. I think the Ava and kind of relationship there, I just don't think Ava and Star got off on the right foot, and since then they clearly have been kind of separate, and I just don't know if there's any way for them to fix that or to change that. The way it's leaning, I think Ava will be the first one out if there has to be a vote, rather than Star. Obviously, Star having the beware advantage, but I guess is still yet to figure that out. Correct? So
As far as I know, yeah.
until she figures that out, she doesn't have a vote. So that'd be interesting just to kind of see that. But I definitely think it's not looking as favorable for Ava as it was maybe earlier in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really like her and Joe. That's the better feel good storyline, but I don't know. Thomas is playing really, really well, and I could see him, like you said, Brandon, making a big run. And honestly, after seeing this week, like with Ava giving Joe that bracelet for his daughter, and like everybody's gonna see you two as a threat. It might be the best thing for Joe's game to let her go. Now,
Mm-hmm.
he's obviously not going to vote her out. I just don't see that. He said that he would, protect her any way he could. But long term, he might need to be okay with letting her go or
Mm-hmm.
calming down how close they are, because it's not a good look.
Yeah. And I mean, based off of the preview for next episode, it might not even matter.
It's
Just
true.
based off of the tribe swap.
Yeah, hopefully, and I could be wrong, but I feel like there was a tribe swap at one time where there wasn't really much of a swap. There was like one person that got switched, and I'm like, well, that's stupid. So hopefully it really mixes
Yeah.
things up. You don't have, the power duos
That
all
was
together. I'm really, really hopeful of that, and it's all going to be chance, obviously, but
mm-hmm.
I think that could make the game much more interesting.
Yeah, that was season 45. Sean from Lulu got swapped to basically the entirety of the Reba tribe, and then that tribe lost, and Sean went home immediately. What did I thought, just kind of moving on to Siva. I want to talk about David and his, kind of story that he talked about tonight, because last week, he was kind of this, kind of portrayed as this arrogant, big macho Chad guy. And then this week, you see he's basically broke. He lives in a trailer in front of his dad's house. He's got seemingly an ultimatum from his girlfriend, and like, you better win Survivor, which, I mean, if I'm being real, like, run away, David. But you can have a dream of a family with somebody else. But what do you guys think of that? Just the vulnerability and just his story.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always good to like hear the contestants' stories and all, and kind of see how they are outside of the game. And like you said, he was portrayed a certain way, and not to say that that isn't him, but seeing their story and some of those things, those are moments that we've always talked about, whether they be good moments or bad moments, but typically being just kind of history there. Definitely kind of put him in a different light, but yeah.
I feel the same, but there's a small part of me that wonders if he's acting at least a little bit or playing it up,
Mm.
kind of playing into that vulnerable role, trying to, I don't know, kind of lower.
The sympathy type.
Yeah, I mean, because if people are seeing that him as like, oh, this big strong guy who is always happy go lucky and nothing's ever wrong, people are gonna like him. I don't know.
You
It
think
just
you think he lives in like a 7-bedroom house and has a wife and 4 kids and just hasn't made?
He's just Johnny Fair playing it
he's
up right now.
definitely.
He's like,
Speaking of Johnny Fairplay,
grandma's dead.
did you
She's
see his
gone.
grandma actually died?
Oh,
Yeah, she
really?
officially passed
Yeah,
away.
just
Dang.
recently. R.I.P. in peace. Oh, no, I don't think so. I think he might be embellishing a little bit. I don't think he actually had an ultimatum from her by any means. I could
That'd be so
see,
funny if he's like, I'm just kidding, guys.
yeah,
I'm actually rich.
I could see the trailer being a relatively nice like travel trailer that's just hitched up in front of his dad's house. Like some of that could be an embellishment.
He probably
Maybe,
travels around for stunts and different things for movies, so
yeah. And hearing him say like, "Oh yeah, I'd go scuba diving and I'd do this," and like you're not completely broke. Um, so I don't know. I could just it could be the conspiracy side of me, but I kind of wonder how accurate that is. Um, and obviously doing stunts like that, you're around Hollywood a little bit, so I don't know. But all that being said, I do actually really like David, and seeing multiple sides of him makes me just I don't know, really really like him. I'll be curious to see how far he goes because he doesn't seem incredibly strategic unless this is a big strategic move. But um, like we've said, they also really haven't had to be that strategic, and they are much more subdued than Loggy. What are the odds that Mary and Sai become a power duo and end up working together? Because they both respect each other's game. They both seemed incredibly genuine when they were talking about that. They just don't really get along. If they can work past that, should people be watching out?
I I definitely think they should. I mean, I think they both are very smart, and I mean, clearly Mary was playing mind games and playing to a higher level there. Unfortunately, kind of started on the downside of things, but um, no, I definitely think if they can work through some of that and can combine their forces, I definitely think they could be a power duo for sure.
So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I actually just based off of last week's episode, I thought that they were gonna try to cook something up together and work together last week. Obviously, didn't happen. So, um, I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden, contingent on them staying on the same tribe next week, we're like, oh, Say and Mary are forces to be reckoned with.
I would love that. I think that would be really cool to see. And I think they're both pretty sharp, so
Yeah.
could be fun to watch. So that's one I kind of hope they stay on the same tribe and then have some new people around them, because I think they're both going to hate it initially and then be like, holy crap, we're all each other has, like, we have to work together.
hmm
So I'm hopeful for that next week.
Yeah. I'm a little worried for Say because I think she plays the game a little bit too out there, and a little too straightforward and confident. And I think Mary's been a little bit more low key. She's had to play a little bit harder because she's been on the bottom. But she's been kind of playing a more under the radar, more subtle game. And I'm just worried if a tribe swap happens and it's massive changes, or Say ends up on her own, that especially if she ends up in like a tribe where there's already some majority there, I think she's gonna be in trouble because I think she could potentially, because she kind of just runs that beach, the Vula beach, and I don't know if anybody else is gonna be down for that. I think there's gonna be I don't really know who you're talking to, but that's not how we do things here, kind of reaction to her. So
I honestly was just thinking that same thing, and had the same thought of she is very, like you said, kind of out there, and I worry about with that how that's gonna go over. But I would, seconds before you said something, I was just thinking about that, Brandon.
all right, I'll give you the credit.
I don't need it.
Did you guys think of 3 people you think you can win the game? Think can win the game?
I think so.
I don't have like full details on like here's why, but I have 3 people that I'm kind of looking at as potential winners.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could make a case for more than 3 pretty easily. I could probably make a case for 5 pretty easily. But yeah, I could narrow it down.
So, do you guys want to get into that?
I'm down if everybody would like to, but
Nick looks unsure.
No, I'm just thinking I'm gonna have to narrow it down right now. So yeah, I'm down. I like you said, Brandon, I don't know what to say on a lot of these. It's kind of just a gut feeling. And I think we could make the same case for everybody. Hey, they're really strong here. They're really strong here. They've got these connections. I think they could make it far.
Yeah.
So
Let's you can just rapid fire the names. Just boom, boom, boom. And then if we, towards the merge, we can kind of go more in depth on that.
and am I committing to sticking to these, or can
You
I
don't have, no, we don't have to
Okay,
stick to them.
okay.
This is just
all right.
this
Just
is
right
just
now.
three episodes into the season. This is what I feel.
All right.
So I can go first. I've got 3. Thomas sticking out to me as a possible winner. I think he's playing a great game. I think he's got great reads. I know that I just said that we weren't going to explain a bunch of things, so I won't do that anymore. But,
Rapid
Mary,
fire.
yeah, Mary, I think, and Camilla are the 3 that I'm like, I think they could do it.
I like it. I'm similar. I'm off one person. I'm different. So I had Mary, Thomas, and Mitch.
Interesting. Mitch is interesting, but it's okay.
I think, yeah, I can see it.
Sorry, you guys don't like him.
No. I actually really like Mitch. Oh man, You guys are killing me.
Yeah, I'm gonna look really silly if Mitch wins now. I'm like, okay, Mitch.
um, so similar to Thomas, but I'm not gonna go Thomas. I'm actually gonna go Bianca, and I'm also gonna go Camilla and Shaheen.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not a single person from Vula for me.
Yeah, the
I
only
mean, Mary would be the one that I'm like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
I can
I,
see it.
I'm kind of seeing her. Not that anybody's really like needs this big redemption arc, but she's like, I'm genuinely surprised that she's still here. So I'm just like, if her and Say can figure it out, or if this tribe swap can happen, and she can kind of start back from square one, I could see something happening
Yeah.
there. So
Well, all three of us said Camilla, right?
I did not.
no, Logan said Mitch.
We all three would have said
Oh, you said
Thomas,
Mary and
but you
Thomas.
said
Oh,
not
yeah,
Thomas.
yeah. Okay.
So are you trying to narrow down the survivor of the week there?
Yeah, I was just seeing if there was any commonalities there.
Well,
Where are you guys at on Survivor of the Week?
Throw it out there, Brandon.
this one's tough. I feel like there wasn't anybody that I was just like, wow, this week. But I think I'm gonna stick with kind of my top three that I was discussing earlier, and I feel like I might go Thomas. I'm gonna go Thomas this week, and I think he is clearly, since day one, he is thinking about what is best for him, and that is completely evident tonight. And 2 weeks ago or last week, he was like, what if we just lose the clue that Star has? And now this week he's like, it might be in my best interest to work with Star. So I like that he's like just thinking those things out, and he's able to kind of read the relationships and dynamics in his own tribe and go, that might not work for me. I need to do this to gain control in my tribe. So Thomas this week.
I like that one. Blake, do you want to go or do you want me to?
Thank you.
I'll go.
Okay.
That's you made a really strong case for Thomas, and he's high up on my list. But I'm gonna go Mary. None of what she did necessarily blew me away this week, but she's been consistently playing the game, and even though she was kind of sitting idly by instead of looking for the idol after the immunity challenge, that seemed to be like a strategic move for her that created some confusion. And then to be the third player ever to accurately play the shot in the dark, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Not necessarily anything that she controlled, but I don't know, having the guts to play it and it working out. And honestly, with the tribe swap, she's not necessarily in a horrible position. So being from on the absolute bottom to, right back in it, that's why I picked her.
I like it. Well, I feel like a lot of times we always have the same answer, so this is kind of fun. I am actually going to go with Say this week. And the reason I'm going with that is for the simple fact that throughout this tribal and the way it was looking was she was going home based on how Cedric, right?
Mm-hmm.
how Cedric had voted for her both times. And before they had done anything, she piped up and was like, and just kind of spoke and voiced her shot at sticking around. And if it wasn't for that, I think she would have gone home. And so for voicing her opinion or trying to plead her case and it working, sticking around another week for that, I think for me gets the survivor of the week.
When I'm with you on that. I think if she wouldn't have said anything, she was going home. She
100%.
made a heck of a case for herself. And then what's his name? Justin didn't really give him much of anything.
Yeah.
And it started to, and he was like, "Man, I'm still with you." That like at first was like, okay, that means I was never trying to cross you. I just needed a minute, didn't tell you about this. I'll explain everything. But it wasn't quite enough. And um,
I mean, at
that,
that point, though, does he just go ahead and confess why he didn't tell them about or tell them the truth? Because at that point, it doesn't matter, and maybe kind of plead the case. But I don't know.
I mean, anything would have been better than what he did do.
Yeah,
So that was
but,
that was highly disappointing.
but that was all good there. So
I like it. I like it a lot.
any emails, Brandon?
No, sir. But
Well,
if you want to email us at themergefeastpodcast@gmail.com. I want to know, what are your thoughts on the 3-tribe format? What are your thoughts on having to risk your vote at the journey? We want to hear from you.
all right. Well, tune in next week, and can't wait to be back with another episode. Logan, go ahead and say goodbye.
Goodbye, Logan.